Okay, thank you. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for taking some time out to join us for the meeting tonight. And I know it's a meeting I've pretty much said that you need to join us for, so I appreciate that I'm saying thank you, but you need to be here. And I also appreciate there'll be some of you online who have been through this meeting before, and it is important that we do it all again. And the issues with social media and these sort of things make it really important that everyone's on the same page right from the start with iPads and those sorts of things, so as we can support you to use them in the way that we design them, and that's the way of helping the kids with their education. And we are confident that they are very, very valuable for that. But we talk you through all the ins and outs of the program tonight. So we'll work through the slides. Here we go. So with tonight's session, I know we're online. It's, we're all probably getting pretty used to this year, doing our Zoom meetings and our WebEx meetings and all those sorts of things. But if you do have any questions, please just interrupt. If you're comfortable enough to ask a question, if you'd like to use the chat function, we have our IT manager online with us as well, so he'll be able to answer any questions that might be in the chat, or James, you might be able to tell me if there's any questions you'd like me to address as well. Just interrupt also. The session is being recorded, so please just be mindful of that if you are asking a question or anything like that, just that you will be recorded. But please don't be discouraged by that, because there's lots of insights that come from the good questions that people ask. Because we are recording it tonight, we will give people the opportunity to watch it back, but we don't want people to just be able to take the easy road and just watch it back. So we will be using a code word tonight. I'll give you guys that at some point during the session, because then you will have to answer the question in the Google form, which will just be evidence that you've at least watched or been in tonight's session, or at least watched through the recording, so as you get all the information. All right, our program, it begins in Year 4, and it was endorsed by School Council a while ago. We've tried to make it as flexible as we can, so there's the bring your own device option, and there's the leasing option. So if parents want to go and get a device themselves, we support you with that. And if you would like us to lease one from school and then you repay us through that leasing agreement, then we can do that also. And what the device allows for is anywhere, anytime, 24/7 learning. So iPads in the classroom, we often get asked, what are the iPads for and what's it going to look like and those sorts of things. iPads are used for collaborative sharing, presentations and research. That's a pretty basic explanation, but you think of the year that we had, the real godsend in the remote learning time for a lot of their teachers to be able to distribute work and those sort of things, and for kids to be able to still remain connected to talk about their work and collaborate and share was really important. What they're not for is they're not replacing handwriting, they're not replacing spelling, they're not replacing reading, they're not replacing the teacher. They're just another tool that the teacher can call on to support the kids with their learning, and in time we are able to be confident that the kids can turn to them to support them with their learning needs as well. So that's what they're for and what they're not for. So the two options with the iPad. So we've got the bring your own device option, which basically means you go and purchase it outright yourself, and then doing that you have the flexibility to get it from basically wherever you want. We've thrown up a couple of different options there: Total Computer Technology, JB Hi-Fi, or you could go to a provider of your choice. So what we're asking for as a minimum is an 8th generation 32 gig Wi-Fi iPad. Then you need to sign the agreement for the device, so it's maintained by our Horsham Primary School agreement. And then any accessories you want to purchase, they're your choice, whether that be a cover or a keyboard or headphones or those types of things. That's over to you. And then there's no other payment required, except if there's repairs on the device or something like that, which we can talk about a little bit later. Option 2 is the leasing option, and this is where the school will purchase the device and we will lease it over 3 years, and then you will agree to pay it back over the 3 years that the kids go from grade 4 through to year 6. So if you're leasing a device, what you get is the 128 gig device and the Apple Pencil. So the Apple Pencil is part of what we want the kids to be using at school. And then we just ask for $200 by February the 5th next year. And then there's quarterly instalments, and you'll be able to see in your paperwork packs the instalment schedule there. And at the end of the lease, there's an option to buy the device for $10 and you can keep it. Now with that, there's no accessories included. And again, if you would like to purchase a cover and keyboard or whatever it might be, you're welcome to do that. And we've tried to provide that flexibility. And then if you want to get a $10 cover off eBay, you can do that. If you want to get a $150 cover from Apple with the keyboard included, you can do that too. It's just up to you and what suits your needs and what will suit the purpose for your children as well. So you'll be able to have a bit of a look at that. So we've tried to be a bit flexible with what we've got, and you can see the difference in the cost. There's approximately $670, and that varies depending on how many people actually lease at the end of the day, and then between $650 and $750 depending on the device you decide to get. Okay, warranty and repairs. So all devices are covered by a 1-year warranty. You can purchase Apple Care within a certain time period, which does say in our information pack, I think on the back, the time period was it needs to be purchased within 60 days of the original iPad purchase, the Apple Care, and then it gives you 2 years extended technical support, replacement or repair. So Apple Care is something to consider, and that's totally your choice about that one. But when an issue does occur, the school must be notified, because the warranty job should be logged by the school, even if it's one that you bought yourself, because we can then advise you. And if there are repairs necessary, then we say to you, right, this is what's happened and we can't repair it, but it should be under warranty or something like that. So what we don't want is for people to tamper with it or something like that and then get to the point where they say, oh, well, it requires a warranty, but then the manufacturer will just say, no, this has been tampered with and the warranty's void. So we basically just want to help you with that. And then if it is a job that is not covered by the warranty, we'll give you the option to get us to do it for you. We'll give you a quote, or you can go to a provider that you're comfortable with and get it fixed. So again, we don't want to lock you into anything one way or the other with that. But it's important, if there is something wrong with it and you're worried about it, get it to the school, let us have a look at it, and we'll advise you from there. Device management is really important. So all of the devices will be managed by Horsham Primary School and uses a device management system called Meraki, which we will start using next year. It gives us control and security over the device, so we're able to get it to do the things we want it to do while it's at school. It doesn't apply for once the kids are not at school, so we'll talk about the different options you have as parents soon. But it allows us to push out the apps that we need on the device. So if there's something new comes up, we just push it out over Wi-Fi and it appears on the iPad. Students will be able to personalise their iPad, buy their apps and do different bits and pieces. But we'll talk about the Apple ID and those sort of things. But if it does run out of storage or anything like that, or there's non-educational apps on there and we can't do what we want to do with the device, then we take those personal things off so as we can do the school stuff. We've never had to do that, by the way, but it's something that we always mention to people. So like I said, with the setup, the device management is really important. So it's a school-managed device, so we can push the apps out, and certain settings will be applied so the kids can do things and can't do certain things while they're at school. And family sharing is a really good option with the Apple products. And if you haven't got an Apple product, we'll talk about that soon. But setting up family sharing, we ask or suggest that you do that after the device management's been completed. if you are buying a device and you're not leasing it, some people like to buy the device as a Christmas present or something like that. The device management that we put onto the iPad will absolutely remove everything and send it back to the factory settings. So if you do want to give it as a Christmas present or something like that, contact us at school and we can get the device management set up before you give it to your kids and they start putting their own stuff on it, so that way they don't lose anything. If you do give it out before the next school year and the kids have been doing their own thing on it, that's okay. It's just when you get ready for school, that device management will go on there and wipe it all. So some things run the risk of being lost, but there are ways to back certain things up with our iClouds and different logins and those sort of things. But I just wanted to stress that point. If you do want to give it out as a present for Chrissy or something like that, that's perfectly fine and happens all the time. But just let us help you out with that device management so as we don't wipe everything and you run the risk of upsetting or having upset kids. Okay. Just checking the chat there, we're all good. So family sharing. So this is the part where we get to talk about how much control you as parents can have over the device. And I really want to stress the importance of this section of the presentation because you really do have great control over these devices if you choose to. Everything's there to allow you to really set up a secure environment for your kids and their technology. So family sharing, it allows you to create IDs for kids who are under 13 and you create them as a parent. So you get to oversee their Apple ID basically until they're 13. So if you already have an Apple device, you can set it up from your iPhone. I can set it up from my phone here to create a new device, a new Apple ID on another device. And then I also get to control that other device from my phone. I've got a child in grade 6. I can put on screen time now from my phone and she won't be able to use her iPad at home right now, and it happens just like that. The other thing that is really important with the family sharing is the ask to buy option, and this prevents kids from downloading apps that might be paid apps and potentially costing you a lot more money than you want them to. So what happens is if they try to download an app, you get an alert on your phone and you will be asked to approve or not approve whether the kids can have that particular app. So you get that alert. So they can't just be downloading all sorts of apps and paying for things or anything like that. So it is turned on by default. So you can limit the content that the kids have access to on their devices, and you can change the restrictions and things like that. Like I said, from an iOS device, so an Apple device, you can do it from your phone. If you haven't got, go to the next one. And I'll talk about screen time, and then we'll talk about if you haven't got an Apple device. So screen time can also be controlled from the phone. That's what I was talking about with my own child. I could shut their device down if I wanted to right now. And screen time allows you to set times when the device works and when it doesn't work. And this is really important. We get lots of feedback, not lots of feedback, but enough feedback about kids that won't put their device down and you can't get them off the device. Well, set up screen time and set things up right from the start. They don't need to be on it after 7 o'clock, or they don't need to be on it after 5:30. Whatever it is in your house, you can have it so that device does not work and they can't get in. And you can just change that each day. You can customise it and have a different time on the weekend and those sort of things. But screen time's really important and really valuable, and I can't stress enough the importance of setting it up when your child gets the device, not after they've got it, where you have to wind them back, because that's when the disagreements can occur. So if you are already in a family, you just go to screen time and your child's name will appear. So that's where the family sharing link comes in. And like I said, you can use it to restrict the different apps as well. So, if you only want them on a certain game for 30 minutes a day, it only works for 30 minutes. So you can set up those different limits. So these are the four options you see when you get into screen time. It's got downtime, which is, if you want it to work from 7 to 7, you can set it for that. If you want a different time on the weekend, no downtime on the weekend, you can change those limits. You can have app limits. So if you only want them to watch 15 minutes of YouTube, block out YouTube after 15 minutes. There's always allowed apps, so there's apps that will always work. So if you like them to be able to message you on the weekend or something, if you're going for a walk around the block or something like that, and they're just staying at home for a minute or whatever it might be, there's the option to still use the messages even if it's in downtime. And the content and privacy restrictions, you can go through and you can set up all the different age limits for things. So, for example, all these kids who are about to get an iPad should not be using anything on social media because they've got an age limit of 13 years or older. You can go in there and you can set up for any apps that are bought to be only, say, 9+ or something like that. That means those apps can never be bought by the kids, even if they find a way around it. So you can set that up so as it doesn't happen. Okay. If you don't have an iPhone or an Apple device, you can just go directly to the iPad and you can set up a parent code, and you set all those screen time settings and things on the device rather than on your phone or another Apple device. So you set it directly up on the device and set up that passcode, and you make sure that you don't share that with your kids, so as you can go in there and they can't adjust anything and you have it set exactly as you want it. And again, I just can't stress the importance of this enough, because any issues we have had with iPads has not related to anything that we've put on the devices. It's other things that the kids have put on the devices and been allowed to use, like your Snapchats and those sort of things, where it could be stopped. And the iPad restrictions are there. So we really encourage people to use them. It's good, responsible IT practice. Okay, support for parents. If any parents at Horsham Primary School are having difficulty with setting up family sharing or screen time, or if what I just said to you sounded like absolute gobbledygook, that's okay. Just contact at the school, and our technicians would be happy to organise a meeting to sit down with you one-on-one and go through setting things up and having a chat about different things. I think James just put in the chat that there's some tutorials on our webpage, so you can get in there and have a look at the videos that are there, and they'll step you through how to do different things with your iPad and getting it all set up. So we're here to help, and we just feel free to reach out to us. Okay, so some conversations to have with your kids. It's a portable device. Carry your iPad with care. They're supposed to be portable. They're not supposed to be locked down on a table. We carry our phones around with us. I don't leave the office without my iPad. Don't leave home without my iPad. I depend on it a lot, but I have to look after it, and the kids will have to look after it as well. So one of the classic things is be aware of it, where your bag is. You don't want your bag to get stepped on by a big brother or sister or anything like that, and all of a sudden you've got a broken screen. The kids have to become a bit more mindful of what they're doing with their iPad. The students will use Google Apps for Education to create classroom documents and store files. So they'll all have their own Google Drive, and then that gives them access to Google Docs, Google Classrooms, Google Sheets, Google Slides like we're using here. And that's a department-approved login, which the kids have already been using at school. And all of the kids get that login at school, and they can use that, and it's a secure login for their Google Apps, and it's working really well. The iPads should come to school charged each day. There's plenty of power in an iPad, so they should just be able to charge it up probably every couple of days. But they don't need to overcharge. Don't leave your device just on the charger all night, because that'll overcharge the battery, and the battery won't last as long as it gets a bit older. Tips for home. Have your child use the iPad in a public place. Be aware of age limits with social media applications, and I've said how you can stop that right from the start. You can basically stop them from being able to do that. We want to recognise that cyberbullying is real. and we want to provide some strategies for dealing with it. We think one of the first strategies for you as parents is to be setting up screen time and having those conversations with your kids about what the device is for and what it's not for. One thing I haven't talked about is what we find with kids, and for you guys when you went to school and when I went to school, what's changed now is that level of connection. We went to school and we had a good time with our friends, and then we went home and we didn't see or hear from them again till the next day. And we had the opportunity to miss each other. Sometimes our kids don't have the opportunity to miss each other anymore because they're going home and they're getting on FaceTime and they're catching up with their kids again, with their friends again, or they're playing games online or something like that. And then they get to school and they see each other again and again and again. And while it's okay for a while, it's that bit of space that is a really positive thing with all of us. So being able to set up those sort of practices with your kids to not let them just connect whenever they want, to allow them to miss their friends and those sort of things is important. And they're conversations to have as families. And research does show that there's significant links between screen time and sleep. So please monitor that closely. We don't want your kids not getting any sleep because they're on the device all night, but use the screen time, set it up so as they don't work from a particular time of night, or have a practice in place where they all get turned off and left in a public place for the night or whatever it might be. Whatever works for your family, but it's important that the kids are getting their sleep. Okay, so what do we do from here? It'll be a little bit different this year. We're going online, so we want everyone to complete a Google form. I will make the Google form available probably first thing tomorrow, maybe even tonight. What I have to do is wait for this recording to download so that I can add that to the Google form. And then I'll make it available via Zuno to everyone. Complete the Google form and then follow the steps when you get to the last step there, which will say that the lease agreement needs to be signed if you're leasing, and the acceptable use agreement needs to be signed and returned by everyone. Now, the acceptable use agreement needs to be gone through as a family, so as your child is getting the device, they know their responsibilities and your expectations and our expectations for when they have this device. So it's important that is read through together before it's brought back to school. So please don't just sign it and send it in. Go through it carefully with your kids. So yeah, if you're leasing, you send back 2 documents. If you're buying it yourself, you send back 1 document. Okay, so like I said, there'll be a code word for tonight, and without the code word, you can't get through the Google form, and the code word is orange. So write that down somewhere. It is just orange, and you'll be asked the question of what's the code word, and you'll have different colours. So that is the one to choose. All right, what's the timeline? We want you to complete the expression of interest, so that's the Google form, by the 20th of November, and then just follow the final instructions, which is just around that paperwork to return, which I just said. If you are choosing to buy your own device, you can go and do that at any time. You can head down the street tomorrow if you wanted to. If you're choosing to lease, you wait for the school to get it, and it comes to the school, and we'll let you know, and it'll be available for use next year as long as all our deliveries arrive, as we hope they will in this COVID year, which is changing things a little bit. So again, the signed agreement needs to be returned to school before the device is given to the student, and we are 100% strict with that. No one gets their device from school until that green form is returned, and then the kids get their iPad Term 1 2021. And the last slide is just about headphones, just saying it's recommended that your child uses headphones when they're completing that plan testing and those sort of things. So it is an option to get the headphones as well, and they are useful for some other classroom activities as well. Okay, that's the last slide, I'm pretty sure. I'm just going to go back to this one, just the bring your own device option. So I haven't talked too much about where you can get the devices and what difference it makes shop to shop and those sort of things. So on our website, there is a portal for JB Hi-Fi. They do have educational pricing. So when you see the cost of the devices there, you'll notice that they are cheaper than other places. If you're comfortable with that, that's an option for you. But you can just walk into Total Computer, Total Technology, whatever, I can't remember what it's called, Wimmera office down next to the commercial down there. You can just walk in there and talk to them about an iPad as well. You can go down to Harvey Norman and ask them about an iPad. Whatever works for you. There will be difference in pricing though, because, like I said, places like JB Hi-Fi have that educational pricing, and then places like Wimmera Office and Harvey Norman and those guys don't. So there will be a difference in price there. So that's something to consider. But yeah, it is just a case of if you want to buy local, or you want to be able to walk into a shop and talk to someone about it, or whether you're comfortable getting online with the portal. That's the option there. If you are leasing an iPad with a split family setup, can the fee be split? That would be a conversation to have with the office, and I'm sure we can work something out there. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing this screen and throw up the options for questions. So if you do have any questions, you are welcome to put your mic on. What I will do actually is refer you to your packs. Is something I haven't done. So while you're thinking of some questions, if you have any, I'll just quickly go through the information in pack. So I've got the paperwork in front of me here, which I'm hoping you've all got at home. So the first page was just a letter about tonight. The second page has got the 2021 iPad program on it. That gives you the options for the option 1 and option 2. There also is the written link to the Google form. If you do try and get in there tonight, I'll still say not accepting responses. But if you do lose the link when I send it out to you, there it is at the top of the page. It's also got the schedule there for lease payments as well. On the back of that page, there's some estimated costs for potential items that you might like to purchase. So Apple Care, a protective cover, a Bluetooth keyboard, those types of things if you wanted to do that. Then you've got the green form. This is the one I want you to go through with your kids and talk to them about their responsibilities and your expectations and our expectations. And the green one's also got the lease agreement there. So if you're not leasing, don't return that. If you are leasing that one, please sign that and return it. So they're the green ones. They're the ones that have to come back to school. We have our one-to-one policy, and we then also have some advice for parents around using your iPad and having devices at home and those sort of things. So have a read through that. School support for responsible and ethical use of technology, something to have a look at. And then there's a Google Apps for Education page, a bit of information there. And this year we've also put in the screen time information sheet, which is direct from the Apple website, but it takes you through step by step on how to turn on screen time and what it looks like and those sorts of things. So, so keep all of that stuff safe for when you do get the iPad, so you'll need that screen time one. But again, we encourage you to have a talk through this information with your children. Okay. Do we have any other questions?
Chris, there could be a brand new iPad if there's an 8th generation 32 gigabyte compatible device already in the family. Does it have to be a brand new one?
As long as it can do what we want it to do, it should be all right. Does it have the pencil functionality?
Yeah, correct.
Yep. So that should be okay. Yeah, and if we get stuck, we'll just let you know. But if you're really wondering, you can come and see James, and he might be able to help you out. James, you got anything to add?
So I purchased this year, so that should be all good as long as it's a 2020 model. That's work no problem.
Beautiful. Thank you. Any other questions? It's weird delivering information like this, everyone. So I feel like I've just talked to my screen. I haven't been able to see a face until James just spoke then. So it's different. So I hope the information has come across okay. Like I said, the recording will become available as soon as it downloads, and I will then send you a message with the Google form. And as soon as you get that link, please fill it out. It'll take you 2 seconds. It won't take long at all, and then we get all of that information. So if you do have any other questions, just message me on Zuno, ring the office if you want to have a chat with James or Andrew, who is here as a technician as well, so we can get the ball rolling and get organised. But if I can stress one thing, it is that stuff around the screen time and how much control as a parent you have over these devices. We know how valuable these devices are for us in our day-to-day lives, where we are picking up things and picking up our phones and Googling them all the time, and we're finding directions and we're booking meetings in our calendar, and we're getting emails coming through all the time with stuff we've got to do for our jobs, all those sorts of things. We know how important and sometimes how stressful they can become. We want to make sure that we're giving the kids all the tools that they need so they don't become a stress for them, but they use them to their fullest potential in a positive fashion. So they're not going anywhere. We can't ignore them. They're not something that's just going to disappear because we're not happy with them. They're really valuable. They'll be around for a long time, and our kids will be using it forever. So we want to set them up in the right way, and we really want your support with that. And again, we stress the screen time. It's really important. So I'll give you a last call for a question, and then I'll bid you farewell. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate your time, and we look forward to getting all those Google form replies coming in. Have a great night. Thank you.